Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. I'm Anne-Marie Green.
And I'm Vladimir Duthier. The 2020 candidates are set to lay all their cards on the table as they face off during tonight's debate in Vegas. Did you get that?
Oh, that's good.
I didn't even get that, did you?
I'm slow this morning, but give me a coffee. I'll be ready.
Laying their cards on the table because it's Vegas. Vegas. It's the first time former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg will be on the stage despite not being on the Nevada ballot. A new national poll shows Bloomberg surging ahead of other candidates, but he still trails Senator Bernie Sanders and former Vice President Joe Biden.
Nikole Killion has more.
I don't think he has the right to buy this election.
Candidates previewed their lines of attack against Michael Bloomberg during a town hall last night.
We've been going to states like Nevada and actually meeting the voters and having them quiz us and ask all kinds of things and put our policies out there. And I think that's what a presidential candidate should do.
Bloomberg has bypassed the first 4 early states.
No big donors, no special interests, nothing.
And is spending an unprecedented $415 million of his own money on ads.
Throwing colossal sums of money on television shows you what's wrong with our system.
Polling shows that so far, Bloomberg's unconventional approach isn't hurting him.
Mr. Bloomberg, I'd like to...
But it's been more than a decade since Bloomberg has competed in a debate.
We have brought people together, and I want to keep doing that.
And Bloomberg's facing renewed scrutiny about past policies he supported that unfairly targeted minorities.
His policies humiliated and offended hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And I think that is something that is worthy of discussion.
Also a big issue for voters, health care. Last night, a union member raised concern that Sanders' plan would strip hard-won benefits.
When unions negotiate, what is the major issue that's up for negotiation? Whether or not they're going to take back some of the health care benefits. You want a 3% raise? Okay, we're going to cut your health care.
And Pete Buttigieg addressed President Trump's latest Medal of Freedom recipient, Rush Limbaugh's comments that America is not ready for a gay president.
Sorry, but one thing about my marriage is it's never involved me having to send hush money to a porn star after cheating on my spouse.
So for more on this, we want to bring in CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. She's following the latest from Las Vegas. So Katelyn, you know, thus far, not appearing on the debate stage has actually helped Bloomberg, or at least it hasn't hurt him because he seems to be rising in the polls. So how much of a roll of the dice will it be for Bloomberg to be debate? So we're trying to do Vegas puns.
Yeah, we're doing.
So, you know, there's sort of pros and cons to him taking the debate stage. What are they?
That's right. I love all of these Vegas puns. I've been thinking about Bloomberg getting onto the debate stage as this meme that we've been seeing, kind of Instagram versus reality. He's had a very controlled message so far. He's been able to blanket the airwaves with whatever he wants to talk about on ads. Can't watch TV without seeing a Bloomberg ad here in Nevada and all around the country. He's also been having rallies in Super Tuesday states, but we have not seen him come under the microscope yet, the way his other rivals have. And we haven't seen him be attacked on the debate stage by his rivals. And the knives are certainly out for him. You're getting a preview of that in that package that Nikole just had. Bernie Sanders going after him for being a billionaire and trying to, in his words, buy the election. Elizabeth Warren going after him with a really scathing tweet calling him an egomaniac. You've also had Joe Biden, who will be very threatened, I think, by Bloomberg if he is indeed going to continue rising here, going after him as well. And so the debate stage tonight, the Bloomberg campaign knows that he is going into this with a huge target on his back. And they have also said that, look, all of these other candidates have had a lot of practice at debating. They've had debates every week recently, every month over the past several months. So they are very prepared. So Bloomberg is kind of coming into this as a bit of an underdog, but it comes at a time that he's surging in the polls after a big airwave campaign, and we'll see if he can kind of stand up to the image that he has been projecting that has been allowing him to rise among voters.
One of the things that I found really fascinating, Caitlin, is not only have the Democratic candidates been lining up to attack Mayor Bloomberg, you've got the President of the United States who's tweeting and retweeting a bunch of these memes about Bloomberg. But what is interesting is Mike Bloomberg is using the very similar or very same tactic that President Trump did use when he was a candidate. And he's firing back on Twitter, leading the president to tweet, Mini Mike, no, I would rather run against you, because the mayor suggesting you're afraid to run against me. That's why you're tweeting all these memes. What's your take on that?
Yeah, you have two billionaires going after each other, two 70-something billionaires going after each other. Is this kind of the preview of the general election campaign? Well, that's something that Michael Bloomberg certainly seems to take to his advantage. Anytime these Democratic candidates are attacked by President Trump, they take that as a badge of honor. Because remember, this entire election, this primary that we've been talking about, Democrats see it as the battle to become the nominee to take on Donald Trump. That's what we hear from voters all the time, that's their top priority, is finding a candidate who can defeat Donald Trump. So if you're able to get the president's attention as a Democratic candidate, that's a good thing for you. It helps to elevate you. And I think that's something that we've seen Bloomberg use as a tool, and something that he talks about on the campaign trail, that he's getting attention from the president, that he's the one that the president is going to be afraid to run against, in his words. So that's something I think that you're going to see continue. And the president, of course, will be here on Friday campaigning. He's been doing a lot of counter programming to these Democratic contests, trying to kind of come in with a big footprint and kind of show his organization and his muscle, and the candidates will have to respond to that as well.
So what Bloomberg has basically been doing with a lot of his money is, he's got these ads out, and he's really focusing on the places that he's put his money before, donations, the policies that he's backed before. He hasn't really addressed the accusation that he's trying to buy the election. Elizabeth Warren, I think, tweeted that it's a shame Mike Bloomberg can buy his way into the debate, but at least now primary voters curious about each candidate. About how each candidate will take on Donald Trump can get a live demonstration of how each take on an egomaniac billionaire. And so I guess that's going to be another suggestion that there are many similarities between Bloomberg and Donald Trump, perhaps in ego and perhaps in money, though Bloomberg says not in money. Right. And so his campaign spokesperson, Sabrina Singh, was asked about this on Red and Blue. This was her response.
I mean, I sort of have to laugh at that. I mean, we're talking about a man that grew up in very middle-class roots, self-made billionaire, pulled himself up by his own bootstraps here, and now we're criticizing someone that is one of the biggest philanthropists in the world, who donated tens and tens of millions of dollars to House races last year to help flip the House from red to blue.
So, Katelyn, do you think that this is going to be sort of his line of defense, that, he's sort of a real rags to riches story, if you will? And also, he's going to be facing a lot of criticism about some of his policies in the past, and perhaps that's part of the argument, look where I put my money.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that he's going to draw contrast every time he can to Donald Trump on that billionaire question. And I think he's going to talk a lot about how he has helped Democratic causes, especially on the issue of gun control, gun issues, gun safety. That's a huge issue in the Democratic primary, and a huge issue here in Nevada, given that shooting on the Las Vegas Strip just a couple of years ago. It's still something that voters talk about. It's still something that candidates are talking about on the campaign trail. So I could imagine that Bloomberg will talk about that. And what we've seen from Bloomberg over the course of just his 3-month-long campaign, which hasn't been a while, he's really been focused squarely on Donald Trump. So I'm interested to see if he goes after any of his other rivals, if he takes the bait at all. He'll certainly be under the microscope and certainly be the target of attacks. But does he take that, or does he try to move the conversation back to Donald Trump? He's also going to face a lot of scrutiny for his policy positions. Remember, Bloomberg's been out of office for over a decade, but those policies, stop and frisk among them, are something that are, really difficult, challenging for him to come to terms with. A lot of his allies and surrogates have been saying that a lot of these other candidates have their own issues on race and on these other criminal justice issues, but this will be something that he hasn't faced attacks on in this kind of public setting by other Democrats before. So I think that's going to be an issue for him as well.
Katelyn, real quick, in about 30 seconds before we go, there's a new national poll out from the Wall Street Journal and NBC News. It shows Senator Bernie Sanders surging ahead of all other candidates. What to make of a national poll, even though we're still in the caucus and primary place for these states?
Right. Well, that's what I'm interested to see tonight as well. We've been talking about a lot about Bloomberg, rightfully so, but Bernie Sanders is rising here. He just won New Hampshire. He did well in Iowa. He's poised to do very well here in Nevada, which prizes organizational strength, which Bernie Sanders has. Does he become the target for his fellow rivals? Does someone like Joe Biden start to go after Bernie Sanders instead of Michael Bloomberg to try to tamper him down? I think the thing that is going best for Bloomberg is to have Bernie Sanders rising, because he can make that a one-on-one competition. But if the other moderates in this race, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, try to go after Bernie Sanders instead of Bloomberg, that will be interesting to tell what the strategy is.
All right. Caitlin Huey-Burns for us in Vegas. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.